Welcome to CCN Midday News. I'm your host, Captivating Krishna. Here's some of your top stories for today, April 1st. The Pentagon says it still hasn't sent ventilators because it hasn't been told where to send them. A double whammy for those who most need the $1,200 stimulus checks. They may wait the longest to get them. Lawmakers urge the Health and Human Services to address the racial disparities in access to testing and treatment during the coronavirus pandemic. Mitch McConnell impeachment distracted the government from the coronavirus threat. And huge medical staffing company just slashed benefits for doctors and nurses battling the COVID-19 outbreak. Also, people are bailing out inmates from New York City's biggest jail where the coronavirus outbreak is skyrocketing. Let's get to the news. Despite having committed to transferring 2,000 ventilators in the military stock to the Federal Emergency Management Agency and the Department of Health and Human Services to fight the coronavirus outbreak, the Pentagon has not shipped any of them because the agencies have not asked for them or provided a shipping location. The Pentagon's top logistics official said on Tuesday that in order to ship the badly needed equipment, the Defense Department has to be given a location to be sent to them by a civilian authorities who have to decide where the items are most needed. A little less than 3 weeks ago, when the number of infected with the COVID-19 virus began to spike, Michael LeBoy found himself in a tough spot. The 21-year-old biotechnical company's job in Puerto Rico required him to work in close proximity to his coworkers. He said that his employer wasn't taking enough precautions to keep them safe. He lives with his brother and sister-in-law who is pregnant, and he felt he couldn't risk accidentally bringing the infection home, so he quit. There's people living in my household, and I felt I couldn't put them at risk, he said. It was a difficult decision and bills were stacking up. But recently there seems to be a glimmer of hope. On March 27th, President Donald Trump signed a $2.2 trillion coronavirus stimulus package that included a direct infusion of cash to the majority of Americans, including LeBoy. This actually goes to everyone with a social security number who isn't considered someone else's dependent and makes up to $75,000. They will receive a payment of $1,200. The problem, however, lies that LeBoy actually gets handed the money, while the text of the stimulus bill does not stipulate how the checks should be delivered or within a time frame. The Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin has emphasized the need for speed. On March 29th, he says checks would be delivered to people who have their bank account information on file with the Internal Revenues Service within 3 weeks. However, those who do not, which is up to 14.1 million other Americans who do not have bank accounts, will have a huge problem. And the people without bank accounts, who are known as unbanked, are often the poorest, which is roughly about 53% of people without bank accounts. And this means that the unbanked are the most in need of the direct stimulus and will be the last ones to actually receive it. Senator Elizabeth Warren and Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, along with Senator Kamala Harris and Senator Cory Booker, to name a few, sent a letter urging the Department of Health and Human Services to collect racial and ethnic demographic data on testing and treatment for the COVID-19, otherwise known as the coronavirus disease 2019, in order to identify and address racial disparities. Currently, comprehensive demographic data on racial and ethnic characteristics of people who are tested and treated for the COVID-19 does not exist. Without this demographic data, policymakers and researchers will have no way to identify and address the ongoing disparities of health inequalities that risk escalating the impact of the coronavirus 19 pandemic. Other social economic factors may exacerbate the racial disparities in the COVID-19 outcome. Low-income people are more likely to have many of the chronic health conditions that experts have identified as risk factors for complications from the COVID-19, and people of color are more than likely to fall below the poverty line, work in low-wage jobs, and have fewer financial resources to draw upon in times of an emergency. Additionally, unemployment, food insecurity, and unstable or substandard housing conditions may further predicate disparities in health outcomes for people infected by the coronavirus, especially in low-income communities of color. A history of discrimination has also left some people of color distrustful of the medical system, making them less likely to seek out timely care. These factors may all combine to escalate the effect of the outbreak in most vulnerable communities. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, Republican out of Kentucky, on Tuesday blamed Democrats' push to impeach President Donald Trump in January for distracting the Trump administration from the threat posed by the coronavirus. Trump has come under sharp criticism for the nation's slow response to the spread of the pandemic, especially for the shortage of the coronavirus testing kits when the virus first spread to the United States. More than 160,000 Americans have tested positive for the COVID-19, and more than 3,000 people have died from the virus in this country. McConnell told Hewitt that he has not heard any new reports about senators being diagnosed with the coronavirus. Senator Rand Paul, a Republican out of Kentucky as well, missed a vote on the $2 trillion economic relief package after being diagnosed with the COVID-19, and 4 other Republican senators placed themselves in quarantine last week out of precaution for the potential exposure. Now, to add to this story, the U.S. Senator Majority Leader Mitch McConnell made a stunning admission on Tuesday when he went on the Hugh Hewitt show and acknowledged that President Donald Trump had botched the federal government's response to the COVID-19. Interesting. On to other news. Emergency room doctors and nurses, of whom are dealing with the onslaught of the coronavirus patients, as well as the shortage of protective equipment, are now finding out that their compensation is getting cut. Most ER providers in the U.S. are working for staffing companies that have contracts with hospitals. These staffing companies are losing revenue as hospitals postpone elective procedures and non-coronavirus patients avoid the emergency room. Health insurers are processing claims more slowly as they adapt to the remote workforce. Despite the risk our providers are facing and the great work being done by our teams, the economic challenges brought forth by the COVID-19 has not spared our industry, says Steve Holtzclaw, the CEO of Altiran Health, one of the largest staffing companies, wrote in a memo to its employees on Monday. The memo announced that the company would be reducing hours for clinicians and cutting pay for administrative employees by 20% and suspending 401k matches, bonuses, and paid time off. While the coronavirus infection in New York City's largest jail has skyrocketed to nearly 10 times the rate of the city's residents overall, according to one legal organization analyst, a grassroots crowdfunding program and campaign has been bailing out the Rikers Island inmates. The emergency relief fund, which is known as, is a group of organizers and activists in New York City who have raised $18,000 since March 23rd and freed 5 inmates in the last 3 days. The average donation is $20. Founded in September, the Emergency Relief Fund had originally focused on freeing transgender inmates who historically have endured higher rates of violence and sexual assault behind bars. That focus has expanded during the pandemic. Once again, thank you for watching CCN Midday News. Hope you enjoy. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also hit that notification button so you will never miss another news update. Have a great day. Peace.